Well, good morning. You're watching Much Ado About Something, and I'm Donna. Well, this is Vlogtober, day 11, and so it's just a little vlog about the day, my life today. I'm outside. It is beautiful out here. It's a beautiful, crisp fall day, and it's everything that fall should be. You can see the leaves are starting to change across the street on the little trees that are across the street. The beginning tips. It's changed a lot more in the mountains, but here, this is what we have. I'm just out here looking at the garden and looking at everything out here before I have to go in. It rained most of the day yesterday, so I didn't get much of anything done outside. But I'm going to repot this bromelade here. I'm going to repot this later. If I don't get to it today, I'll get to it soon. It actually has several babies on it here, or what my daughter calls pups. It has several little babies that I can divide, and so I'm going to do that before I take it back in. I love that beautiful flower. Just a lot of my indoor plants. This is also one of those bromelades that I've had for quite a while. But I don't think I'll divide it this year. This one here it may be time to just go ahead and take it out. Plenty of plants. But I can't work out here today. I've got too much to do inside. So as much as I would like to just hang around out here and get into the gardening mode, I've got just a little while before the kids get here. David's already here. He's playing with his toys. I had to run to Target this morning and get toilet paper and mayonnaise, and he picked him up a few toys. So he's very busy playing. I have soup warming up. That's for David and my lunch. I'm warming up chicken noodle soup. It's a perfect day for it. Now I've got my bread starter out. I make sourdough. I start making that back in the winter. I don't do it as much in the summer because it heats up our house. But in the summer, in the winter, I go ahead and get it out because I'll make most of our bread. Now I've got my starter here in a quart jar, and as you can see, it has swollen up. I just go ahead and put it into a bigger container. It makes it easier to get to. I started it out in this 1 quart canning jar. I freeze my starter whenever I'm not using it. And then when I get it out of the freezer, I just feed it. And I got it out of the freezer and let it unthaw, and then I fed it. I feed it with sugar and mashed potatoes. And that's what I feed my sourdough starter. So I got to put it in a bigger container. So then when it rises, it won't go up all over the side of the container and be everywhere. Yeah, in the fall and the winter, I make a lot more baked goods than I do in the summer. The summer, if you bake inside, it just heats up your house, and in the winter, it doesn't matter. You need that heat anyway. I got my original sourdough recipe from a neighbor's mother, a neighbor and a friend, from her mother. I've got it here in my cookbook. She hand wrote out this recipe for me 40 years ago. You see if I can find the original handwritten recipe. Here it is. Actually, I think I'm going to take this out and frame it. I'm going to get a nice frame from Hobby Lobby that you can see through. You can see the front and the back. And I'm going to frame this written sweet recipe that I've had for 40 years. And that's where I got my sourdough recipe. And it has turned out to be the greatest sourdough recipe that I've ever made. And so I've stuck with it. I've tried others, but none has been as good as this one. And right here it is. I've typed it. I've typed it out here if you'd like to screenshot it. That's the sourdough recipe that I've been using for 40 years. And when I've quit making the sourdough, I just take my starter and divide it up into freezer bags, and I put it in the freezer. And I can keep it in the freezer up to a year, and I just take it out when I need it and feed it and go from there. Today we're going to feed it 3/4 cup of sugar, 3 heaping teaspoons of instant mashed potato flakes, and 1 cup of very warm water. I've already put the very warm water in there because I used it to rinse out my quart jar. And so now I'm just going to put the 3 tablespoons of potato flakes in my starter. This is a batch from the original starter. I've kept this thing going for 40 years. Not that you have to do that. You don't have to do that. You can just mix it up as you go. But when you get a good yeast strain going, you want to keep that going. I love the potato flakes. It feeds the starch and feeds it well. I know some people use flour to feed their sourdough, but I always use potato flakes. You know the yeast will eat the sugar. So here's 3/4 cups of sugar and the 3 tablespoons of potato flakes. And now I have my sourdough starter in a big enough container that I can dip in there and get to it easily. And when it rises from the fermentation process that it's going through, it won't spill out all over the place. There's plenty of room in this container for it to rise. Now, of course, I always have to put a cloth over my ferments, any ferment, my sourdough, all of it, because we have a lot of fruit flies. And I want to make sure that no fruit flies get in my ferment. This is not an airtight lid, so I just go ahead and put it on. You can still get air. And so I've got the sourdough starter ready. I can just put it over here where the ferments go and wait on it and probably start making bread by tomorrow. I also have plenty of dishes to wash. You know, I hand wash my dishes. I don't have a dishwasher. So I've got to wash up all these dishes. So I've got a lot to do inside today. You know, we made our apple cider yesterday. If you didn't see that video, that's Vlogtober Day 10. And it was a great video making apple cider. And I bought this little sign at Target today when I went to pick up the toilet paper and the mayonnaise. I picked up this little sign because it just reminded me of me making it yesterday. This is where I keep all of my recipes that are handmade and family recipes that's been passed down. I keep them right up here. I have a lot of recipe books, and I love recipe books, but I gotta say, these are my favorites These are the recipes that I've made over 40 years and the recipes that I grew up with. And so these are very special cookbooks, and they stay in this cabinet. I picked up the mayonnaise at Target, so I've got to put that up. But I have I have bananas here that I've peeled, and I've got to make some banana bread out of these today. So I have a lot of tasks that I've got to get done in here. It's a lot of work, and I have to get it done. I can really tell if I don't get in here and keep up on it. My house, you know, we've been here a very long time. I've been here for 40 years, almost 40 years, Donald and I have. We've raised a family of 3 here. You know, we have a lifetime going on here. And this homemaking is my department, so I have to keep up on it. Of course, Donald does most of the stuff outside, does all the stuff that I can't do. But I take my homemaking very seriously. So I've got to stay in, even though I would love to go out and garden today, and there's a lot to do out there in that garden. Well, these are the valances that I have up in the living room right now. I've got these cream and dark navy buffalo plaid up, and I do love these. I love the contrast and the stimulation of these. I love the colors. It fits in good here. But I picked up 2 more that has kind of a French country look that I really liked. And it's got these deer on it. And if you watch my videos, you know my husband, he loves deer. So I'm going to put these up today, and that's one of the things I'm going to do today, is I'm just going to change out these valances. That's something that I enjoy doing.
And a pinch you.
Now, I don't change out my curtains as often as I do the shower curtain in the bathroom, but I do like to change them up, and I like to do it at least every season just to brighten up, refresh, and just to change the things around. It's just something that I enjoy doing. So I'm going to change these valances right quick.
Hey, give me Alice in the Ghostbusters.
You do?
Yeah.
We're going to put the curtains up, and they have deer on them. I bet Grandpa will like them.
Yeah, we are. Grandpa's gonna need to like it.
I think so. I just go ahead and use the same rods most of the time. I don't change rods very often. Just sliding this curtain on here. I love the colors of these. They matched my color scheme that I have here. I still like valances. I can't have just a naked window here. It doesn't look good. I've tried that. Plus I'm in the neighborhood, and I really need to keep these blinds up so that I can close out unwanted eyes when you want to have privacy. I like the freedom. I have some very beautiful drapes and curtains. But I haven't been able to use them as much because Madeline, she loves to pull on anything that's hanging down. And if you've watched my video, then you know I have a granddaughter that has disabilities. And so we're careful of what we have around if it affects her in any way. So that's why I don't have a lot of tassels or a lot of things dangling, because that's not something she likes. She doesn't tolerate those well, so I don't have those. Balances, to me, they add a softness to your window. They add a softness and a pretty detail that you don't have when you just have a bare window. And so that's why I always like to use the valances. Now I have my curtain rod up higher than my window. And I noticed that in these curtains, you can see that there's a little bit of the wall hanging, showing through, which did not do on the other ones. I don't know if that'll bother me or not. Sometimes I'm a stickler for like the details.
That was so good.
Oh, you like them, David?
Yeah.
But here is the plaid valance that was up before. And here is the new valance that has the French country look, that has the deers on it. Let me change the other one. Well, there we go. I got them both changed. And I like them. I think they're cute. That little area there in the middle may bother me, and I may have to change them and lower my curtain rod down just a little bit to cover that up to make it right, because I'm funny about things like that. Now let's talk about style for a minute. I think I showed in one of my hauls that I got these valances here at Goodwill. I gave $6 for both. For both of them, they were sold in a set for $6. And I loved them because they had a French country look to them. They had the deer on them, and I love the colors of them. You know, under my chair rail here is brown. So these went perfectly with the brown. I remember when the style changed, and you know, there was a lot of gold, brass and gold in the 80s, and then the style changed, and there was a lot of black wrought iron, which I still love, and a lot of silver. And I remember friends of mine like, are you going to get rid of all your brass? Are you going to get rid of all your gold? And I told them, I said, honey, gold never goes out of style. It's a classic. So I've had this gold mirror hanging here off and on. You know, I do change this mirror out with other decorative pieces. But I've always had gold mirrors and gold framed photos and family photos and things mixed in with all of my other things. That's a perfect example of it right here. Right here you'll see gold, and then I have wood, and then this, and then I have the brass and gold, the black and the silver frames. I mix gold and silver, and the brass I just include that as in with gold because, you know, it has that gold appearance to it. I have the silver and crystal lamp mixed in here. But I don't hesitate to mix metals that I love, especially classic metals that are never going to go out of style. Maybe silver was in for a while, nickel and silver and those colors. But I'll tell you, there are people that like me that never got rid of their gold because that's a classic.
Gabby, look, this is more heavier.
Oh, that's awesome, David. You're right. He got a toy scale at Target, and he's trying to weigh and see what is heavier. That's an excellent job, David. I love the conversation I had with a subscriber, and she was saying she loves her style. It doesn't have to be in style. She just loves what she loves. And that's exactly what I think it should be. That's what home should be. You should have the things that you love in your home. Of course, now I have this starter home. It's on the smaller side, and it's not an elegant house, to say the least. I have an elegant undertone. I really love beautiful, elegant things. But, you know, you're limited in your space where you live. You have to work with what you have. I have to have ingress and egress. You know, we have to be able to get in and out and live in our home. So I can't just, you know, I have to keep that in consideration, and the people that live here also. And so it limits me to what I can actually do. Not to mention budget. Budget also limits me as to what I can do. But I do love to decorate, and I love to change up curtains and do different things. And I have a side that every once in a while comes out where I wanted things to be elegant. I love beautiful classic things like crystal and silver and gold. Now this brass picture frame right here I've had since we got married in 1982. So this is it's vintage. It has my mom and dad in it. So, and these pictures, I think I've mentioned this before. These pictures of these dogs on this slab of wood, actually, those pictures, that hung in our home when I was growing up. So, you know, I like sentimental, classic kind of things. These pictures of Jesus and him on a log, those are, we had those in both grandma's houses. So. And this is art. That's a beautiful watercolor of wildflowers that I love. I don't know the artist. It's not a signed piece. I was able to get that at a consignment store. And I love the style, the colors, and the content of that artwork. And of course, the one over the shelf that we use like a mantle here in the living room, that's a true watercolor, and I do love that. And then here's another example of me mixing silver and gold. You can see the silver frame around this mirror, the silver and gold frame here, and then the gold F there. So the gold initial. So that just gives you an idea. There's my family, my son and his wife and his precious kids. My mom, my dad and his sister when he was young. And this is an antique gold mirror that I just layered and put over here just to reflect more light. But that's just a little scenario on decorating style, and being able to embrace your own style and make your house yours and appreciate how you live. You know, home just has to be your home. It doesn't have to please everybody else, right? Well, thank you for letting me share my Vlogtober with you today. Vlogtober day 11. It was a simple video, not a lot going on here. Just went to Target this morning. I put my sourdough starter in a bigger container and fed that for the day, getting it ready. I will be making a how to make sourdough starter and how to make sourdough bread. I'll share that recipe and share with you how I make that bread. That's coming up in the future. I don't know if I'll get to it in Vlogtober, but I'll definitely get to it in November. And I look forward to sharing that with you. And then changing the valances in here in the living room. Now I've got to get busy. I got to go in there and wash those dishes, and I've got to put a lot of stuff back where I drug it out from so that the pathway and everything will be clear when the other grandchildren get here. So I've got a lot more work to do yet. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a good day. And like always, until next time.